Second major idea that we have that's influenced our research. So the first idea is constructed entity categories and interaction analysis, which is what this is about. The second one is cultural identity. Who are we? What does it mean to have a cultural identity? It's different than a personality. It means who you are as a participant in a cultural context. And increasingly, we are recognizing that we can be participants in multiple cultural contexts, therefore have a so-called multi-leveled cultural identity. And it is the study of that multi-leveled or hybrid, sometimes it's called cultural identity, which is one of the other interesting aspects of intercultural work. The approach that interculturalists take to this, I believe, or at least a theoretically informed approach, is that we are dealing with people who have expanded worldview repertoires. Expanded worldview repertoires. That I can operate in this worldview, maybe the worldview of my primary socialization, but I can also operate a little bit in this one here, or a little bit in this one, or a little bit in this one. And by doing so, the more I'm able to operate in these multiple worldviews, the more those become part of who I am. And I'm a person, yes, with primary U.S. American West Coast upper middle class socialization. And I'm a person who can operate and has learned to operate in a very traditional village in Micronesia. Part of who I am is somebody who knows how to live that way. And it is part of who I am. We don't have to decide, am I this or am I that? I am somebody who's able to do, at least to some extent, both of those things. Doesn't make me one of those people, but it means that I am a person who's able to operate, at least to some extent, in that worldview. Increasingly, we see people defining themselves in this way. Unfortunately, judging from some of the things I've recently been reading about mixed identity, the psychologists are still trying to define identity in terms, in traditional terms, where coherence is defined as having a single worldview. And I believe that it would be useful for us as interculturalists to be able to be coherent enough in our own thinking about this to offer this expanded worldview idea as an alternative to what it means to have an identity. You can have an identity, but it's a multicultural identity. But we have to be able to talk about that in pretty sophisticated ways to go up against the people who've been talking about identity for years and years and years, and who basically have a much more singular idea of what identity is. All right. Third one, how do we become, here's the third question, how do we become more interculturally competent? And this, here's the major answer that I've given to this is by understanding the experience of cultural difference, having a developmental model that moves us from ethnocentrism to ethno-relativism. There are other ideas of how it is that we go about this, but the essence of this, the theoretical essence of this, is that intercultural development is not a transformative experience. We don't walk down the street one day ethnocentric and have an experience after which the scales drop from our eyes and we become ethno-relative. And I say that because in many cases people are asking us to run programs on that assumption. They're saying if you only come in and say the right thing to our people, they'll stop being ethnocentric. Well, it doesn't work that way. The way it works is people need to go through stages of developing a cognitive structure that supports the experience of cultural difference, of both their own culture and the difference with other cultures. And if they don't have the experiential structure for doing that, they're not able to overcome ethnocentrism or to behave in ethno-relative or culturally adaptive ways. So that's the essence of this idea, and I think that the essence of the intercultural contribution to education in this area is that it is a developmental process. It is not a transformative process. It's not a one-shot magic bullet kind of thing. It's a sustainable process that we have to engage in. Educators know this, but in many cases the corporate people and other people that we work with don't.